Hello and welcome to another booktube video from me, Lauren, from Lauren and the Books. I hope you're all very well. Now today I'm going to be talking about the books that I plan to read in the month of June. Now I do enjoy doing a TBR most months anyway, because I like setting out what I'm planning on reading, etc, etc. But June is a special month because I'm going to be reading books associated with Pride and Prejudice. Now I have dubbed this month Pride and PreJUNEdice. Now if you're not new around here, then you'll know that I've been banging on about this for months, and I've been collating a whole series of Pride and Prejudice related books, particularly for this month. I did this last year, where I did Jane Eyre books in June, if I may, and yeah, really been and actually thought of doing Pride and Prejudice last year. So this has been a year in the making, and I've been slowly sort of collecting these books, buying them secondhand, etc. Some I already owned, and very much looking forward to it. So let's start with the main event. So obviously, the main plan is to firstly read Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen before I start on any of the other sort of retellings and adaptations and stuff. Now I've got two of those books. The first one is going to be my sort of majority book, and this is the illustrated by Alice Patullo book. This is made by, I think it's called Classics Reimagined. It's called Classics Reimagined, and it is illustrated throughout. So it's got these amazing sort of like, it's just such the sort of illustrations and stuff that I'm really bang into, and all of this throughout. So this is going to be my main sort of squeeze that I'm going to be reading, but however it's quite big. It's also got all of these coloured pages, look at it. So it's quite big, so it means I'm not going to be able to sort of take it to work with me, etc. So I've also got my Penguin clothbound classic version of Pride and Prejudice, which I will sort of be using as my portable book, which I've read a few times. I love these clothbound classics. I've got quite a few of them now, and this one was actually bought for me by my best friend Emma in November 2016 for my 30th birthday, where she also bought me tickets to go to the stage show, which was lovely. We had a really great time watching that. So that is the main Pride and Prejudice thing that I've got to get read. I'm going to read that before I start on anything else. And then the next one is one that will not take me very long at all, and actually is going to be re-gifted to my niece afterwards. But I wanted to take a look at a Pride and Prejudice picture book, and I've opted for this one, which is retold by Stephanie Clarkson, and the art is done by Annabelle Tempest. This is Pride and Prejudice, a baby-lit storybook, and they've got a whole host of these. Actually, when I bought this, I thought it was going to be a lot smaller. When it arrived, I was quite surprised at how big it is. But again, the artwork's really fun, and yeah, I don't want to look at too much of that because then that'll be over. But I wanted to just have a little look at a version of Pride and Prejudice that was made for babies. And yeah, I'll be re-gifting this to my niece afterwards, so she'll be very excited to read that. She loves books, loves them. Right, now we're getting on to the actual retelling. So I did a lot of sort of research into this, looking for books that were retellings or inspired by and things like that, and I'm really pleased with the selection I've got of retellings, and I'm so looking forward to all of them. Like, I hope I get enough time to read all of them because I'm really, really excited. The first one is one that's been out for a while, and this is Illegible by Curtis Sittenfeld. Now, this was done as a sort of, I know a lot of famous writers rewrote Jane Austen books, or wrote a sort of like adaptation of a Jane Austen book, and Curtis Sittenfeld got lumped with, as if it's lumped with, decided to write a Pride and Prejudice adaptation. And this is sort of set in modern times, and I'll read the blurb to you. It says, for sisters Liz and Jane, coming home to suburban Cincinnati means being paraded at the Lucas family's barbecue, where burgers are served alongside the eligible men. But it's difficult to focus on rebooting their love lives when the family's mock Tudor house starts to crumble around them. Yet as their mother reminds them, it's not every day you meet a pair of handsome single doctors. So yeah, you could hear that story is like perfectly lifted from the original story. So very much looking forward to reading that. Now this is one that I've had the proof of for quite some time, and I'm so pumped about it. This came out earlier this year, and this is the other Bennet sister. This is the proof copy, and this is Pride and Prejudice retold from Mary's perspective, which is one of the sisters who you really don't hear much about in the book. So I'm really excited to read it. The front cover looks a bit more like this, with "This is Mary," and yeah, she's the middle child of the 5 Bennet sisters. She's considered quite sort of dull and a bit of a know-it-all, I think, if I remember rightly. Also, I haven't reread Pride and Prejudice since 2016, so it's been 4 years since I've read it. So yeah, looking forward to doing this. So she's described here as an introvert in a family of extroverts with little in common with her siblings. So I'm really looking forward to reading this. And I've heard such wonderful things about this. This next one was one that I'd never heard of. And this is described as a Pride and Prejudice remix. This is called Pride, and it's by Ibi Zoboy. This says here, Zuri Benitez has pride, Brooklyn pride, family pride, and pride in her Afro-Latino roots. But pride might not be enough to save her neighbourhood from changing into something unrecognisable. When the wealthy Darcy family move in next door, Zuri wants nothing to do with these two teenage sons, even as her older sister, Janae, starts to fall for the charming Ainsley. She especially can't stand the judgmental and arrogant Darius. I love hearing about the sort of like the play on their names. So I like hearing like Jane being referred to as Janae, etc. So yeah, but with four wild sisters pulling her in different directions, cute boy Warren vying for her attention, and college applications on the horizon, Zuri fights to find her place in Bushwick's changing landscape or risk losing it all. So yeah, it says here, a timely update of a Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. Critically acclaimed author Ibi Zoboy skillfully balances cultural identity, class and gentrification against the heady magic of first love with her vibrant reimagining of this beloved classic. And I really, really love this front cover as well, so I'm so very, very pumped for this. This is one that I bought second hand. Now, forgive me if I'm wrong, and I'm sure someone will be able to tell me. I think this is the first in a series. This is An Assembly Such as This, a novel of Fitzwilliam Darcy, Gentleman, by Pamela Aiden. And this is, I believe this is telling the whole story from Darcy's point of view. Now, I think when I mentioned this before, a few people said that this was, oh yeah, book one in the Fitzwilliam Darcy Gentleman trilogy. So yeah, if I get on with this, maybe I'll get hold of the others, but I have definitely got enough to be getting on with. So yeah, and I bought this second hand, which is why it's a bit bashed and bothered, but yeah, that one is from Darcy's point of view. Then I've got, this is another second hand one, Prom and Prejudice by Elizabeth Yulberg, and this is, I think this is, I bought this second hand and it's come from San Diego County Library. How exciting is that? So it says here, after winter break, the girls at the prestigious Longbourn Academy become obsessed with the prom. Lizzie Bennet, who attends Longbourn on a scholarship, isn't interested in designer dresses and expensive shoes, but her best friend Jane might be, especially now that Charles Bingley is back from a semester in London. Lizzie is happy about her friend's burgeoning romance, but less than impressed by Charles's friend Will Darcy, who's snobby and pretentious. Darcy doesn't seem to like Lizzie either, but she assumes it's because her family doesn't have money. Clearly Will Darcy is a pompous jerk, so why does Lizzie find herself drawn to him anywhere? Anyway, so yeah, actually when I mentioned that I was doing this, quite a few people said, oh, you must read Prom and Prejudice. So this was quite a popular one, and again, this is one that I'd never heard of, so looking forward to reading that. Then we're on to the last three. The next one is Pride, Prejudice and Other Flavours by Sonali Dev. I am excited about this because I've been promised that this has got a bit of food fiction in there, like a bit of food writing in there. I mean, you would guess that from the title, wouldn't you? And I'm very, very, very much a fan of food fiction. It says here, it says, it's truth universally acknowledged that only in an overachieving Indian American family can a genius daughter be considered a black sheep. Dr. Trisha Raj is San Francisco's most acclaimed neurosurgeon, but that's not enough for the Rajes, her influential immigrant family who have achieved power by making their own non-negotiable rules. Never trust an outsider, never do anything to jeopardise your brother's political aspirations, and never ever defy your family. And then it sounds like the Darcy character here, it says up and coming chef DJ Kane has known people like Trisha before, people who judge him by his rough beginnings and who place pedigree above character. He needs the lucrative job the Rajas offer him, but he values his pride too much to indulge Trisha's arrogance. And then he discovers that she's the only surgeon who can save his sister's life. Oh wow. Well, there we go. So that sounds really exciting. It's one of those lovely floppy books as well, so that's exciting. And then I've got Unmarriageable, Pride and Prejudice in Pakistan, a fresh and delightful retelling of the Jane Austen classic, and this is by Sonia Kamal. And these, in here they've given names such as, they're known as the Bennets rather than the Bennets. Alice's family, so I assume that's Lizzie, is invited to the wedding of the century in their town. Her mother, the indomitable Mrs. Bennet, excitedly coaches her 5 unmarried daughters on the art of husband hunting. Alice's older sister, Jenna, quickly catches the eye of a wealthy entrepreneur, but his friend Valentine Darcy doesn't conceal his unfavourable opinion of the Bennet family. So there's another one. And then the last one I've got here, which is one that we're actually reading for my Patreon book club. The vote was between this one that won and the Bennet sister, and I actually thought the other Bennet sister was going to win, so I was surprised. But it's Longbourn by Jo Baker, which is a retelling of Pride and Prejudice from the servant's point of view, so below stairs. Now, I'm a massive, massive Downton Abbey fan, and whenever I hear about this book, my first thought is of Downton Abbey. So I'm really looking forward to hearing like the gossip from the servant's point of view, because I remember hearing Downton Abbey described as like the servants down below. what they're seeing above stairs, so from the people whose house they work in, that's like telly to them. And I'm really excited to sort of hear about the Bennets from another point of view, which is very, very exciting. So those are the books I'm going to be reading. Now I'm also going to be getting Death Comes to Pemberley on audiobook. I did own Death Comes to Pemberley. I think it's in storage. I had a really nice like bright yellow copy of it. Can't find it anywhere. But I wanted a Pride and Prejudice audiobook to listen to. So I'm going to be listening to Death Comes to Pemberley, which follows on after Pride and Prejudice, and is a crime thriller. I think there's been a murder, and that's been made into quite a few that's been made into an adaptation a couple of Christmases ago, I think. Now I'm going to be watching a few Pride and Prejudice related stuff. Obviously Bridget Jones. I want to watch Pride and Prejudice. The original BBC Pride and Prejudice is currently on Netflix, so I'm going to watch that. I'm going to watch the Keira Knightley one, because I remember going to see that at university and really, really enjoying it. And what was the other adaptation that I wanted to watch? That was... maybe Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. I think me and David are going to watch that. I think maybe he'll get on with that. But yeah, if there's any books that you think I've missed off the list here, or films or adaptations of Pride and Prejudice that you think are worthwhile giving a go, then do let me know, because this month is just dedicated to Pride and Prejudice. I know there's a lot of books here, but I'm really hoping on getting through quite a lot of them. And yeah, I just need to crack on with Pride and Prejudice. So 1st of June, I'll be starting on Pride and Prejudice and then just working my way through the other books as the month goes on. So thanks so much. Let me know if you're going to be joining in and reading any sort of Pride and Prejudice books in June. Why not? It'll be lovely. And I'll see you all again soon for another BookTube video. Goodbye!